The road stretched endlessly ahead, its surface littered with the fractured remnants of a world long forgotten. Grand structures, now reduced to skeletal ruins, loomed in the distance, their jagged forms crumbling into dust. The air was thick with the scent of decay, laced with a faint metallic tang, something ancient yet oddly alive, as if the land itself clung stubbornly to a memory of vitality. Shadows stretched long in the dim, diffuse light, their edges sharp against the cracked earth. The wind stirred the dust into fleeting spirals, whispering unintelligible secrets that danced around Zephyr's feet. Zephyr walked with purpose, his feathers brushing against the occasional protruding shard of stone or rusted relic. His eyes, sharp and unwavering, scanned the ruins for a meaning amidst the chaos. The skeletal remains of civilization felt both desolate and teeming with potential, as though waiting for someone to reclaim their hidden purpose. Ahead, a strange spline pillar jutted from the rubble, its surface slick with glistening moss. Dark liquid dripped rhythmically from its grooves, pooling on the cracked ground below. Beside it, a massive three-dimensional leaf structure hummed faintly, its intricate veins pulsing with dim green glow, a fragile beacon of life amidst the decay. Zephyr stopped, tilting his head slightly as he regarded the peculiar forms. His voice was quiet. "O erratic structure." His fingers traced the air as if following the patterns of energy that coalesced around the objects. "Coalition of energy," he whispered. The words were carrying a sense of awe. As he moved forward, the remnants of a once grand structure rose before him like jagged teeth. Dark fishhook-like shapes protruded from its shattered surface, their sharp curves framing a crystalline eye embedded deep within the rubble. The eye was motionless, yet its unblinking gaze carried the weight of silent judgment. "It all of a sudden makes a little bit of sense," Zephyr murmured, his voice soft as his thoughts began to align. His head tilted slightly as if the pieces of a complex puzzle were falling into place within his mind. "My puzzle brain rotates." A sharp click echoed through the desolation, breaking the oppressive silence. Zephyr's gaze snapped to a nearby pillar, where a black lock shifted with a mechanical whir. From within the shadows, a hidden doorway shimmered into existence, etched into the surface of another pillar. The air trembled as faint vibrations rippled through the ground, revealing a deeper corridor beyond the rubbled garden. "And just like that," Zephyr said with a weird smile, "it's live." He stepped closer, his voice growing stronger as realization dawned. "Life was brought to me." His gaze hardened, a flicker of determination sparkling in his eyes. "There is still so much to do." He paused, his expression resolute. "But slate, more clean than before. Entropy, you will never stop my expansion." The faint sound of dripping liquid punctuated the stillness, drawing his attention to a grotesque candy cane curled pillar nearby. Twisted and unnatural, it oozed black venom that carved shallow furrows into the cracked earth. Zephyr's jaw tightened as he looked up at the heavens, defiance ringing in his voice. As above, so below. He stepped into a garden of ruin, scattered with broken pillars and crumbling statues. The air grew heavier, each breath tasting of iron and ash. Yet amidst the destruction, there was a sense of purpose, a feeling that beneath the decay lay an unshakable potential waiting to be unearthed. "Now it's all," Zephyr paused, his gaze sweeping across the shattered landscape. "Well, it's all so clear." Kneeling beside a jagged stone, he brushed the dust away with his feathered hand. His voice thoughtful. "Each piece, its color." From the ground before him, a door with a black lock emerged, the earth groaning as it gave way. Zephyr rose, gripping the handle and pushing the door open. Its ancient hinges creaked, revealing a small chamber shrouded in flickering shadows. At its center stood a pillar adorned with the alchemical symbol for water. Twin flames roared atop its surface, their intensity blazing before they died down, leaving only faint embers. Moments later, the flames rekindled, burning brighter than before. "Deeper," Zephyr whispered. His voice was filled with a quiet awe. The pillar shimmered, its surface twisting and shifting until it transformed into another door. Its frame bore an execution marker, its edges glowing faintly with latent energy. Zephyr placed his wing against the cool surface, his expression firm with resolve, and pushed it open. The world beyond the door was more chaotic, more alive. The rubble hummed faintly, fractured metastones glowing with residual energy of their former grandeur. Jagged edges glinted in the pale moonlight as Zephyr stepped forward, his breath steady despite the weight of the scene. The air carried the faint tang of ozone, sharp and electrifying. It's... Zephyr's voice faltered. For a moment, his gaze drinking in the surreal beauty of the ruins. "Oh, it's even better than before." He inhaled deeply, the cold night air filling his lungs and steadying his thoughts. "Just keep breathing," he told himself, his voice steady. "Trust the flow." A faint ripple moved through the air, the remnants of a distant vibration. Zephyr's eyes narrowed as he focused on the details around him. "Hooks in the water," he muttered, his tone thoughtful. "The pulse of fish grows." He exhaled slowly, his voice steady with conviction. Trust that it happens in the right timing, and that even if you do reach the top, his gaze lifted to the fractured sky where faint stars shimmered behind swirling clouds. You still must climb. Nearby, a perception flower bloomed, its single crystalline eye blinking slowly as Zephyr passed. Its petals glistened with an otherworldly dew, refracting the moonlight into a cascade of prismatic shards. Zephyr paused to admire it, his voice contemplative. Mystery. The iterative circuit requires a fix, a recoordination, an embassy with the truth, the vibrations of the sim. Stopping before a broken pillar topped with a shattered glass container, he observed the black liquid seeping out, pooling on the ground. The air around it vibrated faintly, the liquid surface rippling as though disturbed by invisible hands. It's truth that we are missing, he said, his tone firm. Hold on. The ground rumbled suddenly from beneath the rubble. The orange head of Tresson, a worm serpent, emerged. Its scales shimmered like molten copper, and its lips curled into a amused smile. Now you're onto something, Tresson said, his voice laced with amusement. Zephyr regarded the serpent, his voice steady, but still, value to the world beyond the self. That creates a lighter load. Tresson tilted his head, the glowing eyes brimming with curiosity. There must be a way to enlist self onto the shelf beyond the void, Zephyr continued, his tone thoughtful, to become better in the battle, to allow the barrage to break the dam. He raised his hand, summoning a spell in his palm. Sigils swirled in the air, coalescing into a bubble that elongated and hardened into a block. A shimmering black cat appeared on its surface, its form flickering as the block began to emit waves of shadow. The waves rippled outward, distorting the air and the sky above. Every action, Zephyr murmured, his gaze shifting to a pile of debris. The jagged metastones hummed faintly, glowing with residual energy. Yourself, all the hats, the creator you are. He exhaled, his voice carrying both resolve and determination. The work is there, but I lack the cards, the track, the mountain, Mount Fable. The wind picked up, scattering dust as probability stalks swayed gently in the breeze. Their dice-shaped buds spun slowly on their axes, each turn radiating a faint aura of possibility. The clock will continue its calculus, Zephyr said, his voice firm. It will turn, despite the web's burden. Straightening, he squared his shoulders, his expression resolute. Escape velocity has been enabled. As the dust settled, Zephyr stood amidst the swirling probabilities, his gaze fixed on the horizon. I return, he declared, his voice clear and unwavering, here to set the table.